Right, ladies and gentlemen, the industry street is back. You know, we always have different types of people. I've known this guy for very many years, many years. I was actually one of these DJs that used to service stuff too, but it's not about that. It's about him. We can talk about that later on in the discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the industry street, and today I am speaking to the one and only Mr. Reggie Styles. That's right, Reggie Styles has been in the game for a very long time. He surfaced a certain artist and he knows the industry in and out. He knows the street industry, he knows the music industry, he knows everything about the industry. But we're going to get into who is Reggie Styles. So without any further ado, I'd like to say, Mr. Reggie Styles, this is all about your life.
About my life, okay. Life. Just a little bit of it.
You were born and bred, I do believe, in South London.
No.
Okay. I do sometimes get that wrong. Tell the people, where were you born?
I grew up in South London, actually not too far from where we are now doing this interview. But I was born in Freetown, Sierra Leone.
Oh, wow.
And I came here when I was very young. And I was fortunate enough to get given the opportunity to go to number one half-decent schools when I was younger. And also...
any school we can...
Nah, I won't mention my schools.
Why? You can say one of them.
Well, I went to... My primary school was a school called Larkhall. And that's it. Yeah, that was pretty good. I had a great time there. Between Stockwell and Clapham.
Okay.
So
good school?
Yeah, very good. Fond memories, trips, playing rounders. Actually, that's where I learned cricket. And I remember I had a teacher called Mr. Bland who... He taught me how to play cricket, and I was a big fan of cricket actually in primary school. And also we learnt coding in school. You know what everybody's using now, as in like HTTP and the internet and doing all coding and stuff like that. I remember we used to walk from our school to this other school, which is based in Landor Road, and we used to have the BBC. Computers, BBC Micro, I think it was then. Right. And we used to, we learned how to do coding, man, all that stuff. So, learning how to draw houses and how to literally...
So you can build a website?
I know quite a lot about it, but obviously over the years it's changed. The language, HTML language has changed, and you've got different, Linux, you've got various SQL, Python... You got all these various different things. I know a bit about everything.
So what was school like for you? Were you a good boy, bad boy?
I was a very good boy. Very good boy in primary school. I excelled quite well. I grew up, I was fortunate enough because I grew up in a multi-faith school. So we had everybody from all walks of life there, from India, from Pakistan, obviously Africa.
Multicultural.
Yeah, but one of my best friends at school was a guy called Patrick Ackroyd, and his dad was a human rights lawyer, quite famous actually. I remember seeing him on TV a couple of times, but I would just go to his house and didn't think anything of it, and all these people that used to come in and out of his house, he used to come to my house and so forth. So school was pretty good. I mean, I was fortunate that I had a lot of grounding from my parents and cousins and people around me. We all believed in excelling. I didn't grow up in a massive house. I grew up on a council estate. And then obviously my mum moved to a house itself. At that time it was in the sticks, which is just past Mitcham. And So
when you went to secondary school, how was that?
Yeah, secondary school was good, just up the road from where we are now again.
In Tennyson?
It was Archbishop Tennyson's. We had a lot of people there. I was pretty good there. The only worst thing I ever did was in solidarity with two guys who got into trouble for no reason. And I basically said, well, this is not fair. So I asked to be put on report. I asked to be put on report. Obviously I got a pair of A's and everything. Everybody thought I was mad, but I did it in solidarity with a couple of guys who got into trouble wrongly, back in the day. And it was a grammar school then, Tennessee.
Well, you're quite brainy though, aren't you?
I'm okay.
What was your
greatest. My
results from school?
My mental score's not that great. Oh God.
A's?
Yeah, I got 6 A's, 2 B's, flunked maths, only got a C, flunked science. I think I got a D on that one, and but everything else I did okay. I didn't do as well as I should have done.
So you're a good student then. You weren't one of those
No, I used to hang out with the roadman. Don't
You
get
did?
it wrong.
So you're a bit roady then,
I used to hang out with the roadman on the blocks and stuff like that in Brixton, because you have to understand that at that time I started DJing when I was in properly in school. So I was doing my own parties and events. So I basically started I was a member of a church, and I was an altar boy in the church. So my mum had a great relationship with my family, very religious in that sense. And I grew up as a church boy, really. Mm-hmm. Not a Pentecostal type church, but more of a it's Christian Anglican.
Okay.
So basically, how that transpires with the DJing is that my cousin, elder cousin called Julia, who she used to always listen to this radio station called Lightning FM, and used to pick it up on the little transistor radio.
Yes.
We'd be listening.
R.I.P. Fox.
And
R.I.P. Fox.
Yeah, we used to listen to Derek Fire Irie, Colin Dunkley. That kind of like sparked my music bug, so to speak. And then years later, I remember my uncle who used to do a lot of the African parties. So I used to be always around the decks and, watching what he was doing.
So we're jumping a little tiny bit. So when you left school, what was your job that you did when you?
No, this is what I'm talking about. I was at school.
It's still building.
I'm in school, and I'm literally doing everything music-wise. I built my sound system as well with a couple of guys in school. They used to have their own. We used to do clashes, and I used to play in Brixton. And this is what I'm saying to you, what I'm leading up to is that basically I then launched my own disco. Okay. So I went to the pastor, I said I want to do a church disco. I remember going with my mum as a birthday present. She went and bought me a mixer from a sound thing in Lavender Hill, a sound shop. And I was so excited because I had myself a mixer, and it was a Sound Lab mixer. With the little effects, ding! Yeah, so it's one of those. And then I kind of like put together this mishmash of what I was called a sound system. So I just call myself Brink Sound.
Okay.
I've actually got a picture of myself outside my room, and on the outside of my room I put my own
logo,
flyer and all that. Yeah, Brink Sound Station. So so I just launched my own church disco, and that went well. A couple of the local guys who played in the sound systems in the area, Red Heat. My cousin Nicky was in Red Heat, which is a reggae dancehall sound system. Yeah. And then Red Hot, people like Neely Mellon and people like that. And then through that, they used to do a lot of house parties. So remember, I'm like 12, 13 years of age.
Wow, that's young.
So I'm still trying to navigate my way. So one day, Nicky, my cousin, he asked to borrow my mixer for a house party. So I went, done it, and I said, I'll let you borrow it only if I get to play at least
once,
45 minutes.
Yeah.
So, I kind of like was learning my craft there, obviously buying records from Dub Vendor, going up to Clapham Junction, Supertone as well. And
you ended up working in Supertone?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So what happened with Supertone, I'm still at school, I'm applying for my work experience, and I wanted to do something to do with music. So what I was initially supposed to do, thankfully, at this time I was DJing. By this time, I'd joined forces with Terry Don.
Yes, we remember Terry.
And we formed a thing called Groove Squad. And we were doing a lot of parties and stuff like that. And I then managed to get myself onto radio station. called Vibes
And this
FM.
was still
This is
young.
at the age of 14. I
Mad.
joined Vibes FM
Mad.
as a DJ.
Mad.
My inspiration for getting onto radio, may herself rest in peace, was Ranking Miss P, because obviously I immersed myself into
R.I.P. She's
the
sadly
music
no longer
industry.
with us. She's not with us now,
Yeah,
is she?
no. So I started to I used to listen to her religiously on a Saturday. And I remember Ray Paul was her producer, and I remember he used to ring up and say, yeah, give a mention to just getting advice. And I remember Ray Paul was the young producer then, who now, does Playmaker.
Yeah, he's doing well, isn't he?
So he used to be her producer on BBC London. And that was my inspiration. And I learned that, I loved her way of presenting, and listening to a lot of the pirate stations as well.
You can't call them pirate no more. They've got to be called community.
Community,
radio.
yeah, but then we were pirate radio stations, so like Power Jam, Lightning, what was there at the time as well? LWR.
LWR,
yeah. There was quite a few. I used to listen to Keith Lee on station.
He's
FM
still
as well.
there. He's still there, going strong.
Yeah, I know. I saw him not too long ago.
I'm going to be out and be meeting him tomorrow, actually.
Okay.
So we're going to a play.
So that was kind of like my early music industry thing, and then I also obviously built my sound system, and I met this guy called Nilton, and he was called Stingfinger, so we decided to join forces, and I created a sound system called Mastercut.
Yep.
We had a sound system called Mastercut, and we used to put on all the all-dayers in like Henry Prince Estate in Wandsworth, and Wandsworth Palace, and also a couple of halls in Brixton, Moonshot in Deptford. So I was a promoter and also a DJ at the same time, but I wasn't really too into the gang thing, so I didn't realise that it was kind of like that beef between Junction and Brixton and Peckham and all that type of stuff.
And that was still going on then?
Yeah. So what would happen is that if I booked a particular DJ, their guys would come, and those are the days when they used to gas the dances. So I was thinking, what the hell's this nonsense all about? So then one year, sadly, there was an incident at an event, and a guy got stabbed in the gig, and it was the most horrifying thing ever to think.
You experienced.
Do you know what? I've put on this thing for people to come and enjoy themselves, and people are coming to kill themselves. So from then, it kind of like put me off doing the whole promotion thing, and I just thought, forget it. So being on Vibes FM, at the time I wanted work experience, was working with people like Terry Don, you had Courtney Melody, you had Colin Dunkley, you had D'Angelo. These are great guys. I had great people around me. So I got asked to come on Vibes to do a show. So I said, yeah, cool, I'll come and present. And obviously, because I was quite well versed in speaking, I sounded cool. I was young. I listened to a tape actually not too long ago that somebody had, a lady, lovely lady who recorded my shows. I couldn't believe how young I sounded. I sounded so posh. I sounded so posh. And anyway, that kind of like was like still in school.
The icing cake of being
I was still in school. It's just learning the craft, growing, and I then was looking for work experience, because in your year before.
Yeah, when you finish before you leave, you go to work experience to get you ready for work outside the big wide world.
So I wanted to do something in music or stockbroking. So I literally had a choice. I always wanted to either become a stockbroker, a lawyer, or something to do with music, or superstar DJ, producer. And Terry organised for me to do work experience at BMG with a guy called Jamie Topham. Bless him, love him,
Jamie,
know him, until this day. And Swing was there as well, and so basically, about 2 weeks before I was supposed to do the work experience, Jamie went on holiday, and so there was nobody to do the work experience. So just quickly, I managed to arrange work experience with a stockbroking firm called Sassoon, in Tower Bridge. Went in there, did the thing, you know, and was there for a whole week. I was supposed to do 2 weeks of work experience. I just thought, this isn't for me, because I was doing the algorithms, and you know, back in those days, you didn't have the computers doing the algorithms for you. You had to work out all these algorithms manually, quickly, doing all the numbers, everything, and stuff like that. So I thought, man, this is so boring. Had I known, obviously, it was going to be a lucrative thing, as much as it stockbroking would have been at that time, I would have pursued it, but I didn't. So then I called up Terry and said, you know, any news about this as you come back from holiday? He said, no. So it just so happened we were going to buy some records in Supertone together. And he managed to sort me out to do work experience in Supertime Records. So big up to Terry Don, do you know what I mean? He's my co-D for years, and we've done so much together. And you know, even mixing, you know, learning how to mix, early days of adopting new technology and everything. So at that time I was on vibes. And then one of the owner went on a holiday, and then me and Terry were literally at one point running Vibes FM, going up on the roof to fix the aerials.
Yes, we've been through those experiences.
You know, trying to find one of the old Sky Dish transmitters. you know what I'm talking about. So I've done the whole spectrum of that kind of like side of things.
But time went on for you, because obviously coming out of the school thing, you obviously working in Supertone, you got to know a lot more about the music itself, of course, how it was made, in a sense of where it comes from, the politics and all that behind it. You obviously got little ideas of that as well.
It was a treasure trove library. It was like being in the library of music. And the thing is, bless his soul, Wally, great guy. Supertone's still there in Acre Lane. And, you know, he was so embracing. Jockey Myro, Mega T, Alex J, they used to work in the shop as well. And they embraced me, and you know, I learned so much from them guys, all collectively.
Do you reckon without those guys you wouldn't be where you are now within the music business? Because
I think I would have been in the music business to a certain capacity, but I wouldn't have been necessarily going down that route. You know, I don't think I would have gone down that particular route, as in like, you know, working in a record shop. But the great thing about the record shop is like a hub of activity. It's like a phone book in itself, because all the DJs come in, from the Rodigans to all these various other big DJs and big names would always come in. Frank Bruno used to come in around the back to buy his 7-inches, and I used to have to go and recommend and pick out tunes. We used to have a little player for him to play the music, so he didn't get bothered out front. So many legendary people would
drop
come.
some names, go on, drop some names.
Loads of people.
Drop some names, go on, drop some names, Reg.
Wailers, Bunny Wailer, Bunny Malone, all the Lovers Rock singers, but it was like nothing, because I was thinking at that time it was just part of the course. It was me just doing my job, and that's it, you know. So obviously you got a lot of artists that were bringing in their vinyls to sell on SOR and all that, so I had to do the signing off of all that type of stuff as well. And I ended up literally I was only supposed to do 1 week. I ended up just staying on and saying, because they liked me so much, I ended up saying, look, I'll just come and do a work experience on a Saturday. So I wasn't getting paid. So I'll just turn up on a Saturday bright and early before the shutters, before he would turn up. I'll be out there. You know, I'm so excited.
But then a little time away, I don't know how quick it happened, you then started getting into a thing called radio promo. Is that right?
Okay, the radio promo side of things came as a result of me being in Supertone and loving the music and stuff like that. That came way because obviously I had to finish school and stuff like that. So I was I went to college, completed the business and marketing qualification, and then I went to university, and I was at Guildhall University, and then LSE as well, so London School of Economics, and but I didn't finish at LSE, but I finished at the Guildhall London Guildhall Uni, and actually we had quite a few DJs there at that time at uni. I then became head of events, and I came on the board of what we call the ACS, which is the Afro-Caribbean Society, because I had quite a few links with DJs, so we were putting on events with people like Richard Blackwood and all these various other ACS events with DJs. At the time you had like Black Nights, went to my uni actually, funny enough, but they were in a different campus, which were a sound system that were around. One of the guys from 90%, if I remember rightly, went there as well.
Was that Shugs?
No, it wasn't Shugs. He was. I always keep forgetting his name. It's not Dennis, not Shugs, not Abranti. Keep forgetting. Is it Radical? No, Radical is Dennis. Yeah, I keep forgetting his name, but yeah, one of them also went to my uni. But yeah. So at that time, obviously, loving the music, DJing. Me and Terry were playing up and down the country, doing gigs and stuff like that, because Terry was quite close with people like the guys at Blues and Soul magazine and stuff, and at that time we were also producing as Groove Squad, so we did lots of remixes. So there's a guy called Carl, who's an American dude who we met, and he was the main producer. And then we literally went and bought a whole load of equipment and put together some productions. Yeah, we did quite a few remixes. God bless his soul, Mr. Tosh Dog. He was the first person. Yeah, Tosh was the first.
Jazz? I'm sorry, from Jive?
From Jive. He was the first person to give us remixes.
He's still here, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still doing these things. But yeah, he was the first person to kind of like embrace us from the music record labels. So I already knew the record label system.
So he was an inspiration.
Yeah, well, he just helped us out. Like, he really kind of like, and he loved Carl as well, because obviously he's American and so forth. And Tosh, he's got a story for everything. So I remember, we used to go out to Battery Studios once in a while, go up to his office, and I used to play some of the stuff on the remixes. So if it's keys or a bit of guitar. And then
so you play instruments as well?
I very loosely, very badly. I did play a few bits and pieces and do quite a bit of the I did some of the production, but mostly it was Carl and Terry that did all that stuff. But yeah, so at that time, an opportunity came up when I was leaving uni, and Terry said, why don't you go and see if you can go into Hard Zone, because I was working in Safeways whilst I was at uni, and I was just thinking, I can't take this. I literally couldn't wait, because I was stacking the produce and everything for about 6 months, 7 months, and I couldn't wait to get elevated. So the position came up to become a stock manager. So stock manager, you're not as much on the shop floor, you're doing more your inventory, and you're more upstairs on the computer and doing various other bits and pieces. So, it came up, I went for the job, I got it, and
the rest is history.
And then so I was there for a bit, and then I just got bored, and I also in uni, in Safeways, I met a couple of guys who literally were into music as well. One of them was a guy called Jay Flavor. He joined the Groove Squad, and we started playing at places like Porky's Residency. We were doing loads of stuff, even East London, various other places, and doing lots of gigs. So then the label side of things, the radio promo side of it, came in when this job got suggested, that it was going up a place called Hard Zone in Brixton. But initially I came in there as an intern. So,
just warmed up, sort of like.
Yeah, because
so you were the T-boy?
Well, because I was working already in Safeways, I was making money. Yeah. And I've always done that, because when I was younger, I used to do a paper round. And ironically, the music, this is why I know the music was always my destiny. It's because when I was a paper boy, one of the guys I used to deliver papers to was an A&R guy called Alfie Hollinsworth, who lived in Clapham. And he said, I heard that you're into music, the owner of the shop, who gave me the paper round job. and he said, yeah, you should come by and pick up some albums. And I remember going into his house, and he had all these rock indie groups, like Beautiful South, he had quite a few, I think Texas, he had quite a few people, and I was getting all these promos and stuff like that from him. So you know, that I knew that there was some kind of link and destiny towards it.
Well, it was, because you were doing Hard Zone for quite a while, in a sense of managing it as well, wasn't it?
Okay, so that was a process that happened over years. So when I first joined, I was an intern.
Yeah.
And I just made sure that I presented myself, worked hard, brought ideas to the table. And a lovely lady called Jackie Davidson, great guy at the time, Merritt Crawford.
Oh yeah, Merritt.
Ran Hard Zone. Jackie had a management side as well, where she was managing singers, songwriters and artists. And Merritt was just the head of the promotion side of it. And I learned so much from Merritt. In the sense of how to, number one, use my skills to pitch for business, but at the same time also learning how to market records and promote. So, you know, I was under their tutelage. Merritt is a great tutor. He always just come out with all these sayings and stuff like that, you know. But obviously he had a few demons himself that he was fighting over the years. And I was working there. Then I was doing it for free for a bit, and then eventually I got offered a job as an assistant. So I took it. It wasn't the best of pay, but I thought this is a great opportunity.
Well, it's better than for something you weren't getting nothing before.
Yeah, because that was normally the entry route at that time anyway into the music industry. There were very rare paid intern positions that were available, and especially to black people. I ain't gonna lie, you know, I very rarely saw black people getting intern paid positions. So I loved it because I was working with my people, and we were working you know, black music. So we had Island Records, we had all these different labels. We were working with so many different labels. One of the main accounts was also Def Jam, which we were doing as well.
Def Jam was one of the big entities for you, wasn't it?
It then became at some point, because obviously
that's Def Jam UK.
No. Then it was just Def Jam.
Okay.
So it went through a few phases.
Yeah.
So we basically started. What happened is that obviously Hard Time was doing everything. We had all the acts, the Kelly Prices, you know, I'm just so, I look back and I think, bloody hell, I've actually been involved in a lot of projects, like artists, you know, from the Pete Rock and CL Smooths to the hip hop to the R&Bs to Cliff Richard to all these various other.
So who would
campaigns.
you say out of all the artists that you've worked with, because you've worked with more than enough, would you say is the biggest prima donna?
I don't think they were prima donnas. I think every single artist had different times of their at different moments, you know, and you have to remember that back then artists were like slaves. You used to have an itinerary that was down to the minute. So it was literally land off the plane, okay, you got 2 hours rest, right, we got 4 hours straight of radio interviews. Then you've got 4 hours straight of press interviews, and so with an hour break for lunch. Then you've got to go and perform for some showcase. Then you've got to wake up 2 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. in the morning for your call time to go and do Granada TV up in Manchester or ITV. So, you know, depending on the level of the artist, I can understand that, you know, it took its toll. Mentally, we never had, like, mental health or safeguarding in those days. There wasn't that. It was literally, because they had them in for a short period of time, squeeze as much as we can out of them, and that's it. So I wouldn't blame anybody for being a bit grumpy. I wouldn't say that they were prima donnas. You know, Nas was a bit miserable a couple of times, but that's further along in my thing. But most of the artists, I always like to make them feel at ease, and They were quite cool with me because, you know, I understood where they were coming from, and also at the same time I was straight up and honest with them. You know, sometimes you'll have DJs that don't turn up, or you'll have DJs that will ask the most stupidest questions. And
give us one of the stupidest questions a DJ would have.
Just simple stupidness. It's like, you know, I could tell when DJs hadn't done their history. Yeah. But in all fairness, back then you used to be under pressure. So what would happen is that you had to have a certain number of DJs that were of a certain ilk. But me personally, I always believed in giving opportunities to new DJs and new people. I always believed bringing in new people.
But when you say like it's a favoritism world when it comes to that, especially with the artists, because you know you're saying that you open up doors for certain people, like to give them a bring-in. But wouldn't you say there's a lot of people that don't get bring-in, and but the usual suspects always get the massive bring-in?
Peter, how many people can you bring in? It's only so much time, number one. So your first and foremost priority as a PR person is eyes. How many people and ears? If your show is hot and you're firing and I don't have my artist on your show, I'm not doing my job properly.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Right.
It's not my responsibility to make you hot. It's down to you to make yourself hot. So I understood that. So a lot of the DJs, the way I used to do it was the DJs that used to always call up and say, yeah, what's happening? You got anything new? Blah, 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 blah. And who communicated quite well. And also the DJs that used to send their professional returns on the right time, and also the DJs that used to present their show quite well, because obviously you're not only representing yourself but you're also representing the company. So if an artist has a bad experience with a presenter or a DJs are just mad. Some of them are just crazy. You know what I mean? So you know, they can do stupidness in front of artists. I've known DJs to literally ask out an artist during the interview and they're serious. Or they come in and want to plug their bloody night. Instead of, that's not what they're there for. They're there to literally give some promo to the artist. The artist is giving up some of their time in return for you pushing their music and having that opportunity.
So what do you think of the state of the music scene at the moment with all this new grime, all this sort of stuff going on? And let's be honest with yourself, they created that themselves, and BBCs, the One Extras and all that have jumped on the bandwagon because the grime artists are basically saying, you know, F you, I can do this by myself, I don't need you. And that is what it is.
I think it's a bit misconstrued. There's blurred lines there, and what you have to realise is if you're not privy to the inner workings of the music industry, you wouldn't realise that places like the grime scene and the grime music, it was an emerging sound. You have to remember that we're coming out from an era where trying to get even just a UK R&B artist played on radio shows was a nightmare.
Right.
Because everybody were so US centric. They were playing US hip hop, US R&B. Every person the first thing they wanted to do was interview a US artist. Yeah. So I was part of that struggle, and I used to fight to get UK artists played, from the Truces to the 911s to all these various other people that, you know, UK artists, that Hill Street Soul, all these people. You know, I've been involved in their campaign in the early days. They would never know how much grief I have to go through on the phone trying to plug them, you know, and at that time, you know, the infrastructure of the UK just wasn't ready for UK music. What happened is One Extra was actually a gift to people, because I was part of One Extra when it first launched. And for me personally, I personally thought it was a great thing. And it's so ironic because, you know, you had people from the street, from all different walks of life in the UK, who they picked to come on board to actually be part of the station. So people like Ray Paul and Rampage, who were BBC people anyway, they were one of the kind of like
Favourites.
Not even favourites. They were the forerunners. Wilbur and people like that. They kind of like they had to get in their BBC people.
Yeah.
Obviously, Trevor, Westwood, to be some of the faces of it, and what also happened is that they were there to play new music, so they went around the country getting all these different DJs,
which they've dropped now
to come on board. Yeah, but nothing nothing lasts forever.
Yeah, but they've dropped. I mean, the situation now with the black DJs, allegedly, a lot of them are sort of gone. They've got rid of them.
No, well, you have to remember that One Extra is what now, nearly
10 years old.
No, it's more than that.
Is it?
It's nearly 20 years.
Oh, 20 years old.
One Extra. Was it 2002? 2005 they launched.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, something like that. I think it's 2004, 2005. So they basically had some of the best DJs, the Heartless Crews and people like that, initially on the station. And, the BBC has always been a station that brings through new talent. And once you're in the BBC infrastructure, you'll always be in the BBC infrastructure.
But you are a good presenter. Mm-hmm. But you've never been on BBC or One Extra or any of those. Why?
You're going to laugh because I've actually... I was taught radio the proper way.
Yeah.
And one of the guys who's a producer at the BBC was my tutor at one of my courses when I did it. So let's go back. When I was on pirate radio on Vibes FM, I got caught in a studio raid.
Oh, so you've been one of the...
So I was 14 years old.
Right, so what happened?
15 years old.
So what
and
happens?
I got caught in a studio raid. And that was just literally...
There
was a knock on the door. I wasn't even answering the door. At the time, it was in somebody's flat. And then somebody came up to the person who owned the flat came up. All of a sudden, there was just these 3 white guys and 2 policemen.
Wow.
That just opened the studio door. I turned around, and they were basically they told me not to touch anything and blah 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 and all that type of stuff, and said asking me my name, and I said I'm not telling you my name. So, because obviously,
Yeah.
So then one of the guys from the station came down to the studio, because obviously it went off. They switched off everything and stuff like that, and had me sitting there. And then they took me down to the police station. And obviously I'm a youngster. So what happened is that they started interviewing me without having a guardian.
Yeah.
So the interview became null and void.
Yeah.
So they couldn't charge me.
So they had to get Reggie, because they already broke the law.
Yeah, because they asked me if I'm streetwise and asking me all these various apps. So I was saying no comment. I said, I thought I was just playing music in the headphones to myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And practicing mixing. And that's it. So they knew that
You knew a bit more.
Yeah. But, they knew I knew a bit more. But the thing is, so then what happened is after that, I was probably one of the first DJs and only DJs to actually get their records back.
So you managed to get it all back?
Yeah, about a month, 2 months later, after they concluded their investigation, they had to give me back my records because everything was null and void. They couldn't charge me. Wow. So then obviously my mum was pissed and upset that I'd got caught in a pirate radio station. And she said, we've got to do this properly. So there were some courses going, and there was a new station called FLR, First Love Radio.
I was on there.
Yeah. So I went down there to
Stella
go and
Headley.
do... Yeah, Stella. So I went down there in Hillerfields, and they were running these courses of how to present, how to do the reels, chop reels, convert from reels to carts, and so I learned how to edit on reel to reel. I learned how to present and structure a show properly.
You took your craft very seriously.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. But I kind of had that inkling of how to do it before, but I didn't know the professional way of doing it. I didn't know, you got.
So when you say professional, are you saying that there's a hell of a lot right now of dodgy DJs right now? Then?
Yeah, but DJ now is subjective because you have to remember now it's more about the brand than your music
Than your
knowledge
presentation.
and your well, to a certain degree your presentation depending on which station you're on. And people forget this. When you're a radio station, you create a radio station with a particular sound.
Yeah.
If you listen to Kiss FM, all the presenters sound like as if they
It's all Kiss FM.
are well,
Well, they're all
they
high
sound
class.
like as if they are similar
Yeah.
in the way they present. So the thinking behind that is that you as a listener, to keep your listening hours, you don't really notice the change in the presenter.
Yeah.
That was kind of like the mold of it. But now, obviously, because of the advent of social media, the competition that's coming from social media, from YouTube, from Spotify, from Tidal, from all streaming services, for people's attention, Netflix, you're sitting in a whole shark tank of entertainment that people have disposable to watch and listen to when they want.
Yeah.
So you're competing with that. So gradually over the years, what's happened is that people then, these guys do a lot of research and testing. So they obviously found that, people less and less were interested in a guy talking about a record in 1979 that was bought by blah, 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 and then, made by this producer and so forth.
Yeah.
So they kind of it was like reality TV came to radio. So if you look at the graph of when it changed at a lot of commercial stations, it was when reality TV came on board and became a thing. So you had The Hills, you had, what's that other program on MTV? There was The Hills,
The Cribs.
all those type of things.
Yeah.
Started to come in, and then obviously people who were just normal people became celebrities.
Yeah.
So, radio is doing that now, where they're bringing in personalities that people like. So they know they're tried and tested, hence why, you're getting a lot of people that are coming through. And then also you've got a lot of youngsters coming through as well, because the station's got to evolve. You can't have the same dinosaurs on the station for 20 years. You know what I mean? Because if you look at somewhere like the BBC, most people, one extra you start off on. That's your entry point, or one of the BBC
To go to
local
the BBC,
stations.
yeah.
Your next point after that is Radio 1. Once you've been on Radio 1 for years, where else do you go to? You either go off to a commercial station, or you go to
the BBC.
Radio 2,
Yeah.
or you go into TV.
Yeah.
And most people, once their journey's ended at somewhere like a Radio 1, they often tend to go to another commercial station.
Yeah.
Hence why you see people gravitating and leaving to Kisses and Choices. You very rarely see somebody leave Choice, Kiss, Capital and go into the BBC. I don't even think I've seen anybody do that. Because the BBC is a standard. And the BBC teach you how to be a presenter for the long term.
Yeah.
That's what they want. They want their own people. They like to take people from scratch and build them up.
Develop them.
And that's it. And
So
that's
would you like to go on there if you had the option?
I actually applied to be on BBC One Extra at the time when they were looking for thing. Well, I put in a great demo. I was told that I sounded too posh on my radio demo when I asked for the feedback, but also there was a conflict of interest because at the time I was doing marketing for One Extra as Hard Zone.
Right. So you had the merchandise going through there as well?
No, we were just doing the promo and marketing for the station. So I set up their street team, the One Extra street team for them, and we were going up and down the country promoting the station as well. So that was good times and great opportunity, great thing to have on the CV, and that came about as a result of me being in Hard Zone, because at Hard Zone at the time I saw the music. People like Mega Bullet were coming into the market, Chris Rock, Mega Bullet and Jamie Bins.
Bins, yeah.
All these other companies were coming in, because before it was just Hard Zone and Media Village
Yeah.
for the black music. And then all these Marilyn, all these people started coming into the fold, and they started charging less and less per record.
Yeah.
And, it just became stupid to the point where it just became non-feasible to maintain an office. But that's what business. That's
like now, because obviously the COVID now has give people a chance to see what is it really like to be housebound and work from home.
Well, I don't think that's good. At that time,
Well,
remember, this is like mid-90s.
Yes.
Going,
yeah.
you know what I mean? You know, I'm talking about mid-90s, like the
No,
era.
but I'm saying that that might have been the mid-90s, but right now, with what's going on, it's like it's been trialed, errored, and now it's in practice.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know how that's comparing to, like, me seeing the value in the 90s. In that time, I saw the value in strategic partnerships, because I remember doing one account for Oshkosh, which are the jeans people, and they, you know, they paid a good sum for 3 weeks worth of work, and I thought, what am I sitting here doing, stuffing envelopes with vinyls for thing up, and then going through all this madness for pittance, literally at the time, because it went down. And at this time, I'd taken over from Merit and was doing, you know, the running stuff, and you know, I brought a whole new dimension to what we were doing in the company. And then we ended up doing brand campaigns for people like McCain, Twix, Nike, Dr. Martens. We even took the marketing over to Paris. We did Spain for a week. You know, we were doing proper, like, you know, what at the time they were calling guerrilla marketing. But I kind of like spent a good 3 months going into these posh brand companies like McCann Erickson and Beetle Hegarty, or whatever you call the company, and these big, massive media brand companies, WPP, for 3 months, selling what we do. And nobody was interested until one person who was in charge of Oshkosh, and ironically, they were a black account manager. So you have to picture the scene. You're a black guy walking in to a room of guys that have just come out of uni, some of them, you know, from very well-to-do unis, Oxbridge guys, trying to tell them, look, this is what we do, this is how we do our marketing, this, you need to do this, and so forth.
Yeah.
So that's how we kind of like I got my first account, and it was a black account manager that came in on first account. We did a great job, and then obviously we had the CV references to then go on and revisit a lot of the people that I've visited before. It's so ironic because I just saw one of the old guys from McCann Erickson in the West End in Mayfair. I didn't even recognise him. He came up to me and he said, "Oh my God, you guys did a fantastic job on, are you still doing the marketing?" You know, because I did, one of the accounts that we did was a toy called the Beyblades.
Okay.
Now they had their problem was that they weren't able to infiltrate the market. So we came up with this genius idea of basically going into schools and, you know, because it's a gyrator, explaining what the Beyblade is as a scientific project, not knowing that we're actually trying to sell the things.
Trying to sell it, yeah.
So every school we went to, we ended up doing about 50, 60 schools around the UK.
Okay.
And we were just dropping them in, leaving them with them. So it then became, by Christmas, it became the #1 toy. Right. And I got a lovely commendation for that one, and a nice little gift.
Well, you know, Reggie Styles, one thing I can say about you, you're a very, very busy man. So
I'm not, you know.
So what do you do to relax?
I won't say I'm busy now. I think I'm quite. I've learned how to be. I've learned how to get my own space. Mm-hmm. As you get older, you realise that some things are not as important as they used to be. I've never been somebody who believed money was the key, because I've turned down checks that would have made me a lot of money because of my morality. I didn't believe that you should sell your own people down the river for a check.
When you say sell your own people down the river, in what way?
As in, like, you have opportunities that come to you, but they will involve putting other people at a loss.
So what are you saying? Okay, so let's go there then. What's the situation?
Not no Illuminati.
All right, so what's your feelings between Choice FM?
What's Choice FM got to do with me?
Well, Choice FM, obviously, again, you said They sold their soul. They took something out of the black community.
No, that's not selling your soul. That's
Or are you
business.
saying 16 million, they made their money and then
No.
they
The person who sold his soul was, and you won't mind me saying this, is the guys behind Kiss at the time. Because they brought in these suit investors and left them to...
Global you're talking.
No. This is Bauer, who took over from Kiss at the time. EMAP, sorry. At that time was EMAP. And that was selling your soul. Choice, you have to understand, and people forget this, is that you're running a multi-million pound business. You cannot rely on Peter Terry and Reggie Styles doing the odd gig, bringing in advert money, promoting your gig down club such and such, to maintain a multi-million pound station that you're paying wages, you're paying light bills, you're paying rent, you know. And Choice FM grew into a station that basically was just that. It did exactly what Hot 97 did. It started in a small shack and then grew and became this big, massive station that sadly wasn't able to grow any further because of one of two things. One, they didn't give them an extension for their frequency on 96.9. And then, if you notice, the station that got the London-wide license, apart from Kiss, it was another station called, wasn't it Radio X at the time?
Yeah.
It was that station.
They're going on still now.
That station got the London-wide license. If Choice FM had got that London-wide license, it would be a totally different story. But you and I probably know why they didn't give them the London-wide license. So they then went and applied for another license, hence why they had to be on two different frequencies. But obviously with different frequencies, you have to deliver a promise of performance. With another frequency comes money. So that's another license. So you've got two licenses at 100 grand a year minimum each. That's 200 grand at the gate before you've even opened up a fader. You've got to pay every year and fined. So what happened with Choice FM? They just became a victim of people not wanting to advertise.
So what do you think about, with that, so what do you think about...
I know you're going there with Choice FM, and you're cutting away because you know my argument is valid. But what I'm trying to say to you is, in a nutshell, so people don't get it twisted, yes, Choice made some mistakes here and there, but I wouldn't say solely that they sold out to GCAP at the time or anything. They needed the investment, because they went and bought a whole load of licenses when they announced the DAB was coming. So if you've got £1 million worth of licenses that you have to find the money for, £1 million every year, right? Okay. And they're not switching off, you're not making money back from it. It's something that's dead, not bringing you a return. Eventually, your books are going to go a bit crazy. So you're going to then need more investment. With more investment comes more with you absorbing more capital of your business, right? Okay, or outsourcing more capital. You're losing more capital share of your business. So in the end, they ended up having to sell anyway because the government, Ofcom didn't turn off the FM license. Hence why now Global, who's the station, you know, the reincarnation of GCAP and whatever, they use the DAB licenses that Choice FM had to do Capital Yorkshire, Capital Birmingham, Capital, all these places, Heart FM Yorkshire, Heart FM Birmingham. That's where they're running all these regional multiplexes off some of the old Choice FM licenses that they had.
Right. In this show, I have a thing called The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. You've been in lots of different situations and that. So let me start off with, what's the good thing about the industry you've experienced?
I think meeting like-minded people, like yourself. People who have a passion and a drive for music. That has definitely been the great thing that I've taken from the music industry and being in it for all these years. Learning just basically how to communicate with people and just like I said, just meeting some great people that have become friends for life. How long have I known you?
Oh God, over 30 years.
Yeah, so I can still call you up and say, Pete, you're all right, blah, 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 blah. And we could have a chat about music and have a moan, as you normally do, about something. And we're still friends. I'm sitting here now. I don't do interviews. I very rarely do them. But, you know, obviously I've known you for a long time. I like your platform. You're a person that is an example of somebody who I think would do better if you didn't think that people were the reason why you're not getting somewhere. And I'm being honest with you, because you're a very talented guy. You come up with the great ideas, you're very creative, you execute your ideas. But getting them from being, right, Pete, the man on that level, to Pete being up there, it's down to you to be able to implement that stuff and do the right deals and collaborations that are going to get you to where you need to be. You've got this platform here. You haven't spoken to any other major person to say, right, well, look, I've got this. I'm doing ABCDFG. Why don't we do a collabo? So a YouTube or a Spotify or people like that. You know, and it's just about.
Well, I tell you, the reason why I've done the industry street is because I just wanted to put to bed the artists. So not the artists, more the DJs who deserve to be recognised for what they do.
Appreciate that.
Because when you go onto Wikipedia and stuff like that, they don't give you really what it's really about.
Yeah, but that's our fault. And what you're doing and what we're doing with Set the Trend podcast.
Well, I was going to say that, because you do Set the Trend as well,
so, you know,
with Raymond and
so
EastEnder.
That's exactly the reason why we started it. Is the same reason as yours. And the more people we have doing that, the more the real story of or picture of how the music industry is. But we have to remember that one thing. As the street, right, okay, the elevation and us getting to where places like Rampage have gone to and things like that, there was always limited windows and doors.
100%.
But the key thing was having your business right. If your business wasn't right or correct, if I wasn't good at what I did from a corporate side, I would never have elevated through the ranks and be trusted to do Beyonce and do marketing campaigns for some of the biggest artists in the world. I wouldn't be trusted with that type of stuff. They would not have me in a room sitting with a multi-platinum artist, Barbara Streisand or Jennifer Lopez. You know, so for me, it's like, you know, sometimes you shouldn't limit yourself and your capabilities. You can still be who you are, but at the same time, you just have to know how to play the system a bit to be able to get to where you... Look, there's loads of opportunities that I believe I should have had and so forth, but I don't dwell on it. At the end of the day, that person's in there for a reason and they're doing what they're doing. Okay, yes, they're not bringing nobody in, they're not doing ABCDFG from our eyes, but you don't know what pressures they're under. You don't know what they have to do just to keep their job and pay their mortgage. Because once you're in a position like that and you're getting 120 grand a year, you're thinking, this is nice. I can pay my mortgage off in 10 years. All I've got to do is stay sweet.
So staying on that level then, who would you say is the funnest or the most serious artist that you've worked with?
What, who's about their business?
Yeah.
Beyonce. She's very, very particular and meticulous. Obviously, and let me just explain to people listening, there are different facets to the music industry. So you've got like my level, which is, you know, doing the radio promo and stuff, predominantly to the black audiences, but I never ever did that. I always went out of my
But don't get it wrong,
I always went out of my remit.
But let's get real as well. It's not just a black radio promo. That's what
No.
But
I went out of my remit. That's what I'm saying.
There is a white promo area. There is... So it's a multicultural area. So
no, there isn't. You've got pop, commercial.
That's what I'm saying.
And what they used to call urban.
That's what I'm saying.
So for me, you know, I did. You would say, okay, yeah, I did a lot of the urban stuff, but I just call it black music promotion. I wasn't just promoting to black people. I'm talking about promoting black music. Yeah. Because I always believed in touching the soul of everybody with our music.
So talking about touching the soul of everybody, what's your views on?
You haven't answered me what the bad is.
Hang on. No, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
I'm getting to that. Because we're on this level, it makes sense. we're talking about the Mobos. So we're talking sellout. We're talking Mobos was black, music of black origin. All of a sudden now, Kanye King sees a big paycheck. Let's go to these really crazy places like Scotland and all that to represent. What's your views on that?
I think that this is, once again, it goes back to you not thinking you've achieved what you should have achieved or been given what you've given.
Okay.
In the industry. You have to always grow.
Yeah.
Growth in business is everything. Anybody will tell you that growth in business is everything. Kanye did not sell out.
Okay.
You have to understand that us as black people and the infrastructure in this country is not designed at the moment for black people to have their own entity of different areas at the moment. It's happening now.
Yeah.
Because the black people that are making it are bringing in more black people, and it's like a tier system. So those people are helping. That's what I always believed in.
Yeah.
If you ask anybody, I would always bring them in. I never used to take every opportunity. I could have been the DJ for MTV Base when they're doing their shows. They asked me, I said, let me recommend such and such. Mm-hmm. I could have been TV DJ for 2, 3, 4 acts. When they asked me, I bring in a man, somebody new, to do various things. DJing at concerts, I used to bring in DJs that I knew could do the job around the country and give them gigs. I didn't take it. I could have taken it myself. I know a lot of people in the industry who did, and are doing pretty well now in the industry. You know,
because they're recognised.
And well, not even that, because obviously they've gone and taken those opportunities for themselves.
Yeah.
And you know, I always believed in bringing in people who I thought were really good at what they did, to and people that I could trust as well. But with the Mobos, it was about growing. She wanted to touch different parts of the UK with the Mobo. It's not the music. So
she didn't leave the blacks. She didn't leave the blacks behind then, did she?
It's not the music of London black origin. And once again, I'll come back to exactly my point, which is the infrastructure. Where are the people that are going to produce something the size of the Mobos as a TV black owned? Name me one massive TV black owned production company. There are, but name me a massive one that could handle the size of the Mobos and deliver exactly what they to that spec.
Well, it's going to be the BBC. It's going to be BBC. It's going
to be there's independent production companies that put together. So you've got like independent production companies that put together these shows.
Yeah.
So they have runners, they have camera crews, and so forth.
Yeah.
That costs money.
Of course, does.
A lot of money. So when you're hiring in a level of that size, and then you're paying for artists to come over from America, and then you're speaking to labels, and the labels don't want to pay no money for production, because remember, they had to pay for the labels had to pay for their own production for their artists. Yeah, because it was a cottage industry at first when they first started it. Then they decided to start growing, and then they got the ITV involved and stuff. And as you grow, as you know, you have to amend slightly your output of what you're doing, because you're now going into what we call Middle England.
Yeah.
Look at what happened when Stormzy and all them people were on the stage with Kanye at the Brits. Middle England went mad.
Yeah.
Everybody went mad, like as if they'd never seen this type of stuff before in their life. The amount of moaning, complaints, Ofcom, all that type of stuff. So you have to understand that, you know, when you're doing something, you're presenting something, you either present it like Berry Gordy Motown or like Russell Simmons Def Jam. That's what I always say to people. Because Berry Gordy packaged Motown and his artists to be acceptable and slick. Hence why they're still so popular now, because they touched that touch point of Middle England. That people thought, it's not threatening, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the guy's dressed in a slick suit. This is lovely. Talking about love and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, Mobos, it had its rarity to it, but I think Kanye did a great job to maintain it for so many years. And I'll tell you the great thing that Kanye did, and I'll tell you this. Kanye actually helped put grime and UK music on the map. If it wasn't for Kanye King switching the whole awards categories, right? You wouldn't have Tiny Tempers and the Giggses and all these people as multi-millionaires as quickly as they are now.
Well, I want to ask you.
She opened the door for a lot of these artists. Wiley getting a.
Well, she did. She opened.
She opened the door. She helped. She was part of helping to make these guys millionaires, just like One Extra is. When they decided, right, we're going to play loads of grime and UK music. So people are now millionaires. The only difference is you're not part of it because you didn't do the right deal to be part of one of the artists. If you had Tiny Temper as your artist, you'd be sitting here with a totally different mindset.
Well, I just basically say that within the industry, me personally, especially in the music industry, there's a lot of fakeness going on as well.
It's everywhere.
It's fake.
It's not just the music. Yeah, but it's not the music industry.
Even down to, which I'd like you to correct as well, even down to this artist has popped up now all over the UK, going mad, and then you realise they got 60, 100,000 followers, whatever. But the record companies have to buy that though, don't they? It's all
what do you mean?
They buy viewers, they buy traffic.
No, but you have to. Okay,
but they do.
Okay, listen to what you're saying. You're saying they're buying followers.
That's right.
Everybody's buying followers.
Why?
When you wake up in the morning and you do your radio show, you're buying followers.
Why
when
am I
you're
buying-
promoting,
why am I buying them?
It's a form of buying followers. Everybody wants to buy followers. But if you're talking about buying like views in the sense like from these
Facebook friends,
from these farms and all that type of stuff, as in fake followers.
Yes.
If you're talking about that fake follower thing, but that's just at the time when social media was coming in, Snapchat and YouTube and all these type of places in the music industry. They used to. You have to understand, in business, you gauge everything by data and stats.
Right.
So you make decisions based on data and stats.
Right.
So if you see that somebody has got 300,000 people viewing their, following them and viewing, you're thinking, right, if 100,000 of those people buy a £10 album or £20 album, you've made X amount of money. So you're making these decisions based on these bits of data. The same way how we used to make decisions based on how many shops have sold a 12-inch,
right,
or how many people would write into Trinity these fan companies asking for autographs. You're using this data to make decisions and financial spend.
Right.
So, it's something that people do in every walk of business.
Yeah.
Uber give away free rides and say bring your friend in. What are they doing? They're
Marketing.
buying. What are they doing?
Yeah,
They're buying custom, right?
Buying customers.
Because they want to take the market share. Same thing with the music industry. You've got to make something look great until people go, oh my God, this is the tune, blah, blah,
Yeah.
until they notice it. I've seen it myself. I've sent DJs time and time again. I've sent DJs tunes that I've said this is going to be a massive hit, and they ain't played it. Let me give you a classic example. Justin Bieber. I was doing his marketing for a track. I kept saying to DJs, kid's going to be huge. You need to come, support the music, come and do an interview.
Is that Essence?
Do you know not one person... No, I'm talking about Justin Bieber himself. Not one person came back to me to do an interview with Justin Bieber.
Wow.
And then years later, when Justin Bieber blew up, every time I see a DJ, they go to me, Reg, man, I wish I'd come and done that Justin Bieber interview, I was even offering Justin Bieber dub plates. And they weren't interested.
Wow.
So I could play a Justin Bieber dub plate.
So look at him now.
And maybe two other people can play a Justin Bieber jingle and dub plate.
Yeah.
But all the top DJs that are trying to get them involved in, they weren't interested because they didn't see what I could see. Or it wasn't for them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So you got the good, and now, we've got to slide over to the bad. There's got to be some bads, Reg.
I think the bad for me, speaking open and honest and frankly, I think it's not even a bad, it's just a sad really, is the lack of collaboration with our generation that came through.
Well, don't get on?
Not that we don't get on, it was just the fact that there was no collaboration. There was no okay guys, let's all get together and do this. Or when you did do it, somebody would go off and
Mess it up.
be their own. No, they would just literally be
their own boss.
They would take everything for themselves, and what we call in the business, close the pull up their ladder behind them, and that's the part of it that I can't get. Do you know what I mean? You know,
Right.
and people that literally come in as one thing, but once they get to a certain level, they kind of like totally dismiss the fact that, you know, they're into the music, or they start getting their little checks from brands and stuff like that, and they all of a sudden forget that they're in music, or what their goal is, or how they came into it. But then again, maybe that was their plan. Maybe they saw music as an entry point, which it seems to be for a lot of people, to get to this part of their life and do ABCDEFG. And you know, if people want to do that, then it's just the time. That's how it is. Some people are hungry for fame, some people aren't. You know, I've never been hungry for fame. Always loved the music. I've always loved to just see people dancing to music and just basically enjoying themselves. Like when a DJ is in a DJ booth really getting into music, I love that. When somebody's dancing to a tune in a club or in a party or at home,
The
you go
adrenaline
to
of
a
it.
girl's house
Yeah.
or something like that, and she's really enjoying the tunes. Say, oh, have you heard this tune?
And you know,
I
you're
engage with
marketing
that
it.
person.
Yeah.
No, it's not even that. It's just the joy of being in the business that I like. Do you know what I mean? You know, and being sincere about it as well. And people who collect music, they have people who are well ahead of me in regards to kind of like where they've got to, in the sense of like, yeah, they've got into better positions than I've got into.
Do you envy any of that as well?
Nah, I mean, honestly,
When
I think about 2004.
Okay, let me ask you this question.
About 2004, I would say that I had a bit of a moment, and I thought, Jesus Christ, what the hell? How did this person get this job?
Yeah.
And I had that type of
Least
attitude.
experience.
You know, I had that type of attitude, and then I looked back and I went, you know what? You had opportunities, Reg, but you chose your path of what you wanted to, how you wanted to take those opportunities.
Yeah.
And for me, maybe I always came to the terms of, and I sat down one time and I said, maybe this person doesn't think I'm good enough, but I think I'm good enough for ABCDFG.
Yeah.
So leave them to it, because somebody else might come along and think, oh yeah, Reggie's the person I've been looking for.
Yeah.
You know, and so forth. So, you know, I never give up the ghost in regards to opportunities. I never think it's too late to be able to present on a mainstream radio station.
Right.
I've never ever thought I'm too old to DJ in a club or to do anything really. I just think it's the right person, right time, and the right opportunities, which they do come. They always come. The blessings come. I'm not a multi-millionaire, which...
Not far from it.
No. I'm not a multi-millionaire. I mean, you know, money is not being my thing. It's about legacy, number one, what you leave behind, and with people, and the type of things that
Do
you
you have any
inspire
kids?
people.
Do you have any kids?
I may or may not have.
Oh, you're not telling no one?
Yeah, that side of it. That's a bit
Okay,
personal.
cool. All right, no problem. All right, so you've had the good, you've had the bad. Is there any uglies around that?
Not really. I mean, not something you could call that is really, really ugly. You know, just basically, you said there's people sometimes that are just in the business, not really to push it further.
Right.
They're just there to get their check and make a bit of money and come out at
Right.
no cost of. They don't care about the collateral damage that they leave behind.
That they leave behind, yeah.
With anybody, but that's just business in general. Any sector's got somebody like that.
Right.
You know, everywhere's. We can't be so precious about something that we don't control.
Right.
You know, and I think that's the ugly side of it. Maybe is that we as a community and black people haven't yet sought ownership of anything.
Right. Okay.
Where you don't need a YouTube check, where you don't need a Spotify check, where as soon as they come running, all of a sudden you think that you've made it. Why should we think that we've made it just because a massive company like Spotify or whatever have come on board? into your thing, into your project. Why should we think we've made it just because the areas decide that you're deemed good enough to present a radio show?
Right.
Why should we think that we're deemed good enough just because the Brits come along? And that's why I say the Mobos is so important. Because if you're voted for by your peers, it's something that I personally have not been nominated for any awards.
Wow.
In the categories of anything.
So you've never...
So like you see these people who have like, you know, best person under the year for the year from whatever company and so forth and all these type of things. I've never ever been nominated for any awards. I've never been nominated.
Have you managed to get a record to the top level?
All the time.
Tell me some of your tracks.
Mate, we'll be here.
Just say a couple.
We'll be here till Christmas.
Just say a couple.
We'll be here till Christmas, mate. You know what I mean? You know, things like Lamar, Big Brothers, some of the Beyonce stuff, early stuff that she did. There were a lot of records like Ashanti and Ja Rule that they didn't want to play. DMX was another great one that we managed to push here in the UK. And really... so
you got achievements. You got achievements, but
there's loads of tracks
from it.
No, I've got plaques for some of the stuff I've done. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that I haven't personally... You know how people they give these awards and celebrations and whatever. Maybe it's because I've never been vocal about what I do.
Well, you have today.
And also, you have to remember that there's levels to this thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, me as a person for a certain sector of the industry might be considered as somebody who's done really well. But there are other people that have achieved more in their positions, in higher positions than I've been part of. But I've always been an independent person.
Right.
So, you know, for me, it's like, even when I was in the label, I was an in-house consultant. I wasn't an employee on the books.
Right. So you got the good, you got the bad, you got the ugly. Let's now go over to... Name me your 5 best DJs.
Put me on the spot now.
Here we go.
There's quite a few DJs that I rate.
No,
I won't say I'm not going to say the 5 best. I'll say my 5.
Some of 5.
No, I'll say my 5 favourite that I like.
Go on then, let's see you.
And they're not necessarily the best.
Go on, let's see you.
So in there, definitely I'll have to put in there Jazzy Jeff.
Right, Jazzy. I'm not talking about artists, I'm talking DJ.
Jazzy Jeff is a DJ.
I know he's a DJ, but I'm just saying, before you go...
Have you listened to Jazzy Jeff DJ?
Not really,
Don't argue with me, mate. Jazzy Jeff is a DJ first and foremost.
Alright, Jazzy Jeff.
Okay, he does production, but
I knew
he's a
him
DJ.
more for production, but go on, go on.
I think he's a great DJ. I'm talking about people that I've seen. I'm not going to mention anybody that I haven't properly seen DJ.
Okay.
Dimitri from Paris.
Huh?
Dimitri from Paris. Brilliant DJ. He's a
okay, so you're not saying no street sounds or nothing like that?
Oh, if you're talking about street sounds, then my favourite street sound was always Fifth Avenue.
Right, Fifth Avenue.
Next to Supertone, my favourite street sound was Fifth Avenue. Reggae sound, Stone Love and Saxon.
Okay.
Stone Love and Saxon all day, every day. I love Stone Love. Has always been my favourite sound system.
Right.
In regards to that, if you're talking about UK kind of like street sounds and people who play music, you know, Jigs, 100% he's in there for me because he's a great selector and he knows his music inside out as a DJ.
Got one more. I love this bit. You can't even name 5.
No, I can.
Go on,
I'm talking about favourites.
Go on.
Like, I'll have probably Jaguar Skills, but I'm trying to think of people that will be in your zone as in streetwise. Streetwise, like, you know, there's some great DJs, like even new ones like Donch, who's a fantastic DJ. But you have to understand what I appreciate from a DJ.
Yeah.
What you might like in a DJ, I don't like in a DJ.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's some great DJ Caper, but she's not from the street scene. So that's why when you're saying to me DJs that I respect, Nigel B definitely up there for me as a person who can read the crowd. Nigel B special touch.
I think you got one more.
You what?
You got one more now. Go on.
That I've seen DJ. Super C. He's really good. I like him, Super C.
See.
Because he can adapt to so many different crowds. You know, he's good as well. Look. None of these, just for the record, are better than each other in my eyes. Right. It's just if I always look at this. This is how I look at it. Yeah, if I was going to have a party, you know, I would definitely have somebody like a Rampage on there. Right. I'd have DJ Cable. I would have Dimitri from Paris. I would have what's his name, Super D, as a house DJ, who I rate so much. I'll have DJ K-Path, fantastic DJ Nicky, you know.
Reg?
No, but I'm just saying.
Your point?
There was Melody Kane, fantastic DJ. So for me, it's like...
I know Melody, I ain't seen her for ages.
You know, for me, it's so difficult to say, yeah, you're best DJs, because you can't. You can't, because it's all subjective. Because, you know, some people might say I'm a great DJ, other people say I'm a crap DJ.
Maybe you're a good DJ.
I'm okay. I'm all right.
You know how to mix?
Well,
do you think a DJ needs a...
Just because you can mix, it doesn't mean you can entertain.
Right, does it... Do you feel mixing is very important in a DJ?
I think as a black music DJ, yes.
And what do you think?
I think as a black music DJ, if you're really worth your salt and you really want to take your craft seriously, if you cannot do the minimum of a simple blend or be able to cut and scratch, do the basic cut.
But don't worry about it, because I've got sync on my controller. I can sync it.
Yeah, but syncing is not being a DJ. It's about a sync. No. What I'm trying to say is that
I'm agreeing with you. That's what I'm laughing.
Yeah, but you can still use sync.
I
stand
on the highest block and say,
Jazzy Jeff can use sync.
Nothing beats Techniques 1200s.
No, you're an old man.
That's right, but it's the real craft of mixing.
No.
What do you mean no?
No.
Why no?
No. Let me tell you something.
Can you mix on Techniques 1200s?
That's
how you learn.
Is that a joke?
No, that's how you learn.
Right, but you have to remember, we're all different ages.
Forget that.
Were you able to mix on Cart Machine?
No, I did Citronics though.
What's the Citronics is a turntable.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a Cart Machine.
No.
Well, that's my point. Were you able to mix on the gramophone?
No, wasn't.
Well, so the point is that there were various instruments that were there to play music to people. Yes, the 1200s became the staple because it was people like Grandmaster Flash, Grand Theodore, and all these people who developed and took these 1210s and turned them into...
Don't forget UK style as well. We've got to talk about Swifty.
Yeah, no, I'm not... Yeah, but what I'm trying to say to you is the actual tools themselves.
Yeah.
They basically
molded it.
Molded that sound and whatever of how to manipulate and use it. We're just in a new age. Remember, I started DJing off computer 1998.
Yeah.
PC DJ.
Yeah.
Before Serato, there was Final Scratch.
Yeah.
Right? With the control modes as the turntables. But it was just lagging too much. And then Serato came in and just literally took the world by storm with better technology.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, as long as you can entertain a crowd, I've heard a DJ play set without doing any form of blending at all.
And he killed it.
And mash up the dance because of the selection.
Of what he played.
And how he played the music. But I agree, fundamentally, as a DJ, you should have a standard. And if you're playing as a DJ on a particular level, what frustrates me is that you have DJs that are in big positions, whether it be radio or playing on various bills, that can't even do the basic stuff of our culture. House DJ, that's all right. You know what I mean? It's full to the floor. Anybody can mix.
Anyone can mix house.
House is all about your production and
house is easy,
all that type of stuff, yeah? But if you're talking playing R&B, hip-hop and dancehall, right, okay, you have to
got to get it right.
Be able to mix and cut and scratch.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You know, more hip-hop. If you are playing hip-hop, if you can't cut and scratch, then you're not a hip-hop DJ.
Well, you're going to look like a banana, aren't you?
I personally think you're not a hip-hop DJ.
Yeah.
I personally think you cannot represent hip-hop at the highest level if you cannot cut and scratch.
So, Reggie Styles, you've achieved quite a lot. You have achieved quite a lot. Being a DJ, in a sense, working in Supertone. On top of that, you also were, well, as you do now, your day job is a plugger as well.
Even changing that now.
Are you thinking of coming away from it?
Well, I'm in the process of diversifying. I think what happened is when the pandemic hit and everything went totally dead, it opened up my eyes to our industry. Right. And it made me realise that our industry is recession proof but not depression proof. And you need to have something else, if not property and assets, but even in pandemic, I know millionaires that literally lost 6-7 properties because their mortgages were
do the
18 grand a
Bitcoin,
month.
man. You can make some quick money.
I'm going to give you a funny story about Bitcoin. Many years ago, because obviously I still have my financial side at heart, and my aspirations of being a stockbroker.
Yes.
At heart, so I've always paid attention to finance stuff, and I'm doing something at the moment that is going to hopefully
fly the flag with you.
Be in the finance field,
yeah.
And help a lot of people and create our own community of finance that we can rely on. So when you need something happening, you can come to me and we can make it happen without having to get somebody else involved. So you know, on the Bitcoin side of it, many years ago, I knew about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency coming through, and I got offered it by somebody who's worked in Silicon Valley. And he said, look, Reg, you've got to buy this now. It's going to be massive. It's only 250 quid. So I called up my FA financial advisor and said, look, there's this thing coming through. And he said, look, it's a load of rubbish. It's not here to stay. It's nothing going to happen. So I thought, yeah, okay, all right, cool. Let's leave it. And about 6 months later, I kept hearing about this Bitcoin thing from other people in the circles, cryptocurrency. So I went and bought one. By then it was about 280 for one. I didn't know about the mining thing or anything like that, a blockchain. And then I went and did my due diligence, and I said, oh, this shit's actually pretty good. I think this is going to fly. So a crash happened with the cryptocurrency. This is before Bitcoin went mad. And I thought, shit, let me get out now. Ended up selling my Bitcoin for about £110 because I called my FA. I said, what do you reckon? He said, yeah, I told you. Sold it for £110. Months later, everybody's gone crazy. Bitcoin's gone to 1,000, 2,000 a coin, 4,000, 5,000. And it went crazy.
Yeah, but it's not guaranteed.
And then my friend went and bought 20 grand worth of Bitcoin.
And lost it all. And
then it went crazy, 60, 70 grand per Bitcoin.
Wow.
And that's when he sold out.
Wow.
He sold and he made about 2-point-something million.
Wow. That's good.
And he said, I told you, Reg. I told you.
Wow.
He made some serious coin out of it.
But I heard that a lot of people have been losing money.
Oh, yeah. Now it's the worst time. Obviously, when you go into something, an investment, if you come in low, your risk is less, innit?
Right.
So back then, £250 would have been, okay, whatever, it's 250 quid. I still wouldn't have even been down if I'd still kept that one Bitcoin anyway.
Right.
Because Bitcoin's trading at about 10,000, 15,000, it's going back up again. But those type of things will fluctuate anyway until it finds their feet. Anything like that cryptocurrency is always going to have a boom bust graph about it, or it's going to have boom bust economy about it anyway.
Talking about radio, because you've been on a few stations, you're actually on a station right now, aren't you?
Yeah, the Great London Soul Radio. I've been on there for quite a few years, nearly 8-9 years now.
And you're still...
a decade. I've been in there 2009.
And you're still enjoying it?
Yeah, loving it. We go out in Grenada, do my shows Sunday, Mondays, at the moment on the roster. And,
what type of shows?
Slow jams and mellow on a Sunday. Monday I do a lot of live mixing, and then playing a few mixture of classics and new music.
Right.
Which I do on the Mondays. I mean, I don't get to do as much radio as I'd like to. Yeah. But it's okay for now.
Okay. So what do you want to achieve before you hang up, like your gloves, Mr. Reggie Styles?
I want to build a few more things in Sierra Leone, which is my hometown.
Right.
Go back there, give back a bit more to aspiring people who want to come into any type of industry, be it music, creative, property, whatever. I want to be able to just give people an opportunity that they don't have to struggle and go through the struggles that we had to go through, or our parents before that,
Right.
to buy their first house or to start their business, or to know about information on how to make themselves better or be self-sufficient and independent, and be able to build their own economies. I think that's where we kind of like have fallen short in the UK, that we don't own anything that is tangible as an asset. The ones that did, they've done really well. There are a lot of people from, Africa, the Caribbean community that did take it seriously and literally have managed to do it.
They've got the last laugh.
So they're doing well. But I want everybody to have that opportunity. I want every kid that comes from every household.
You sound like a flower man. That you want everyone to be happy.
No. I just want us to have opportunities that I'm tired of
struggling.
I know. I'm tired of seeing kids on bikes with a spliff in their mouth. What do you call it? With their looking like they ain't got nothing to do in life, and then going off and killing each other. I'm tired of my friends' kids talking about my friend got killed, and being so nonchalant about it.
Yeah, it's like
that's not what we don't bring our children into this world for that. It's our fault. It's our journey.
It's our fault.
It's our job to ensure that these kids. It's not society. It's our job to ensure that these kids have the best start in life.
Yeah.
They need to go to the. If they need to go to a black version of Cambridge, we need to build it for them to be better. If they need to go to Asian version of Cambridge, we need to build it for them to be better. And for me, that is basically now what it's always been about, to be fair, which is your legacy. But most people are more concerned about, sadly, we're looking at how we're going to pay our mortgage every month.
We're going to pay that's right.
And stuff like that. And if we do have opportunities that come through, we're so, we'd rather go and put 10 grand on a Rolex than go and buy life insurance. Or funeral care.
Yeah.
So when somebody dies and they do the Just Giving pages, and you think to yourself, what the hell? Haven't we learnt by now? You need to have these little things in plan. They're like £3 a month, £4 a month. That's a coffee and a half that you have a day. Even if you have a coffee a day at £3, you can have a brilliant life insurance plan.
Is there anything you feel to yourself I've left out? Because one other thing I would like to ask you as well about the promoting world. What do you think about the promoting world in the sense of... music promotion, concert promotion? Yeah, I'm talking concert, I'm talking art, sort of club nights, stuff like that. Do you wish, DJs doing things on the same day of others?
That's got nothing to do with it. I think.
What do you think?
I think there's enough people. Move? I think there's enough people to go around. But if you're going to do a massive thing, I think there should be more collaboration.
Right.
And it is happening slowly but surely. I mean,
people are now talking.
People are doing stuff together and saying, okay, you know what? Let's all get together and do Weekender and those type of things. I think they should always be collaborative. But putting on your own gig is just basically down to you, and it's down to you to get your own crowd. I think that some promoters are a bit lazy.
Right.
They don't go out to
What's a good promoter? What is a good promoter?
Somebody who goes out there and finds their audience and always keeps finding a new audience for their brand.
Right.
And pushes their brand and does their brand really well.
Well, you do a few
the youngsters are killing it. The youngsters have got it on point.
Totally different.
But our age, I think we do get stuck in our ways sometimes. But in saying that, there are people delivering a great standard. All white cocoa.
All white has gone
going to Nebworth and everything. But
the blue parties.
Yeah, I could see that's going to happen because the type of people that are behind it and the drive that I see in the people behind it, they want to excel. They want to achieve better than what they did before. But some people are just quite happy collecting a little £10, 100 tickets sold type event and putting nothing in.
Well, you do quite a few events as well, don't you?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't put on that many events. I DJ on more events than I promote. I mean, like I said, the promotion thing, the reason why I kind of I don't know if it's kind of like Jeopardy or just some kind of thing where I've always had this fear of promoting events since that day that somebody got stabbed at one of my events when I was younger.
Right.
So that's why I never really went a bit crazy on the promotion event side. And plus also I was so busy doing the music industry and had other goals and opportunities. But definitely something I'll revisit. But I think it's something that if I'm going to do promoting properly, I think I'd make sure that I've got enough capital to lose.
So what would you say about somebody who wants to get into the game? Somebody, a young gentleman, young female that wants to get into this music business. Do you think it's a good... What tools do they need to have?
I think you just got to have creativity, bit of drive and ambition.
Right.
And don't let anybody tell you that basically what you're doing is crazy.
Right.
I come up with crazy ideas all the time. They don't. Right. Some of them work, some of them don't work.
So, right.
Some of them people think I'm mad, but I am who I am. And you know, I will always try it. Like I would do something, and I'll post up something, and people think I'm crazy, but I'm not, because at the end of the day, that's just me. It's who you are. So you have to express yourself. If you're in it to do business, then that's different. You have to have. There are certain things you have to follow to succeed in this business. So if you want to stay as a DJ on a pirate station all your life and be the star of the pirate station, then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to excel, you have to change your brand slightly. You have to, the way you speak to people, the way you engage with people, the way that you send your message out has got to change, because like it or love it, not every person in the world understands and gets the street side and the street element of what we do. You know, hence why you have to have a bit of sugar pop on it sometimes. But I got respect for the guys that just stuck it in. So people like the Giggses and these people that have kept their true identity, you know, the doors have opened for them. And it's just basically finding those people that have been there, that understand it, and aligning and working and collaborating with them to execute your vision as well, as you see it and as you like it, because you know not everybody's going to like what you do.
No, they don't, do they?
You know, and not everything can be monetized in this country. Like I said, the setup and infrastructure is not there. It's not like America, where you know people are more concerned about money than who's taking credit for something.
Well, Reggie Styles, it's been, you know, a privilege more than a pleasure speaking to you.
Likewise, Peter.
And you said a statement earlier on, and it touched me. And if I go like that, a miracle could happen. You know that? You said you've never, ever received an award for your achievement of what you're about.
Yeah.
Well, the industry street never let anybody. So if you can open that and then read it, and you need to put it on all your social medias, you need to put it all over the place. Tell everybody what it says, Mr. Reggie Styles, because everybody who comes to the industry street get one of these, mate. What does it say?
The industry street presents to Reggie Styles for your contribution. Listen, man, thank you so much, man.
Everybody gets one of those, my brother, because
first ever.
I look at people for their achievements, and you've achieved a lot. You don't need to cry, bro. Right? He's about to cry. I can't believe this, right? The guy's about to cry. And when you said those words to me, you've never received an award for what, and you sat there and you meant it so badly, and you didn't know behind you were going to get an award today for your achievement.
No, I didn't. This is a shock, man. Thank you so much, man.
So when someone says
going up pride of place.
So when someone says to you now, Reggie,
alongside the plaques,
that you ain't got any awards, you've never had any awards.
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you.
But
Reggie,
Reggie,
you know what it means?
on,
more coming from somebody like you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You know, you can have awards from big people, you can get an MBE or whatever, but it's things like this that I cherish, because it shows that it was worth it. Do you know what I mean? You know, all the heartache and grief and putting up with the moaning from DJs and
Peter Terry being one of them.
you know, thank you very much.
But anyway, there's the industry street. We've got another exclusive one with you next week. Next week, it's going to be Mr. Marky B. Watch that space, because he is going to shock you as well. Thank you very much. Industry Street will be back next week.